Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, John the DBA. Now, have you ever wondered what a database administrator actually does? Or maybe you're considering a career in database administration and you just want to understand what the role really involves. In this video, I'm going to break down what a DBA does, starting from the basics and explaining in simple real-world terms. So before we even start, who am I? My name is Jonathan and I work as a SQL Server database administrator. Today, I want to walk you through what a DBA does and how databases fit into real business systems. So we're going to be looking at what does a database administrator or a DBA do. And we will be focusing on what is a database, who is a database administrator or a DBA, the DBA responsibilities, and the day-to-day work of a database administrator. Let's proceed. Now, before talking about what a database administrator does, it helps to understand what a database actually is. So, what is a database? A database is where an application stores its data. So, this could be things like customer information, orders, logins, transactions, or reports. Now, anytime you use an app, a website, or let's say a business system, there's almost always a database behind the scenes or in the back end storing and managing that data. Now, in many companies, databases are mission critical. That means if the database is unavailable, the application usually doesn't work at all. So that leads us to the next question: who is a database administrator or a DBA? Now, a DBA or database administrator is the person responsible for managing and protecting those databases. So, a database administrator manages and protects databases, ensures reliability and performance, and supports business operations. Now, the DBA job is to make sure databases are available, secure, performing well, and are recoverable. Let me quickly explain what each of these actually mean. When we say a database is available, in terms of being a DBA, it means users and applications can connect to the database when they need to. So if a database goes offline, applications stop working. A database administrator works to prevent downtime and also responds quickly when issues happen. In terms of security, security means making sure only the right people and applications can access the data. So database administrators manage logins, permissions, and protection to prevent unauthorized access, especially when the data is sensitive or when the data is business critical. Performance. Performance is about speed and efficiency. So if an application feels slower, or let's say an application is running slowly, the database is often involved most of the time. Now, there are times that it could be an issue with the application specifically, but most of the time the database is often involved. Now, database administrators look at queries when let's say when there's a performance issue, or let's say an application stops working, or maybe it's running slowly. Let's say running slowly because that's why we usually troubleshoot when it's running slowly and stuff like that. Um, as a database administrator, you will look at queries, you will look at indexes, and you also check the server resources to make sure the databases or the database can handle the workload smoothly. Now, when I talk about server resources, I'm talking about monitoring the CPU, monitoring the memory, as well as the I/O, which is the disk. Next one is recoverability. Now, when we talk of recoverability, that means if something goes wrong, like let's say there's a system failure or accidental data loss, the data should be able to be restored. And this brings us to a very important point. It's very, very important as a database administrator to make sure that you carry out backup and recovery planning. And this is because backup and recovery planning is a big part of a DBA job. Very important. So let's look at the responsibilities of a DBA. They are a lot, but we're going to focus on these few for the sake of this video and for the sake of time. So one of the core responsibilities of a database administrator is monitoring and uptime. Now, monitoring and uptime means keeping databases online. This is because one of the main responsibilities of a DBA is keeping databases running and accessible. Now, that includes monitoring servers, responding to alerts, and making sure systems stay stable so business operations are not interrupted. The next one is backup and restores. Now, database administrator has to design backup strategy and regularly test restores. Look at it this way, right? It's not just enough to take a backup. Like taking a backup is not enough. You need to make sure that you can restore that backup when it actually matters. So when there's an issue, you should be able to restore that backup so that the database is up and running as it should. The next one is performance tuning. Now, when there's a performance issue or when performance problems come up, the database administrator basically investigate what's happening behind the scenes. So we typically look at optimizing queries, adjusting indexes, or just overall tuning the several resources to keep applications running efficiently. Excuse me. And then security management. So database administrators control who can access databases and what they are allowed to do. Now, this helps protect data and ensure systems meet security and compliance requirements. In terms of maintenance and automation, now, as a database administrator, routine maintenance is another big part of the job. So this includes index maintenance, integrity checks, and automating regular tasks so databases stay healthy over time. Now let's look at the day-to-day work of a DBA. Now some of the day-to-day work of a DBA. Sorry, I know what I'm stuttering. So some of the day-to-day work of a DBA is to check alerts. Now, when I say check alerts, I mean reviewing monitoring alerts. So this means like checking SQL Server alerts to quickly see if anything is unhealthy, like checking for high CPUs, for low disk space, or just basically checking for field jobs. The next one is reviewing backups. So as a DBA, we have to check backup jobs. So this is making sure our database backups can successfully, we're able to run successfully, and making sure that they can restore or they can be restored when needed. And then we have to respond to tickets. So as database administrators, yes, um, depending on whatever platform the company you work for is using, you might be using Jira, or you might be using Zendesk, or maybe another ticketing system to handle this, to handle tickets. So we respond to ticket, and this involves like handling support requests, troubleshooting database issues, and resolving problems reported by users or the applications. And then we also have to work with developers. So as a database administrator, we work closely with developers. So we partner with developers to review queries and to also carry out database design so applications are able to run efficiently. And then before I forget, another one I didn't put on this list, but that is to tune performances, which is like performance tuning. Now, performance tuning is the process of finding slow queries or finding bottlenecks and then optimizing them to improve performance. That's what performance tuning is about. And then we also do capacity planning. So we plan for future growth, and this is looking ahead at data and workload growth so that we can plan storage and resources before issues happen. So as a database administrator, a lot of work is about preventing issues before they happen instead of just reacting to problems. So now let's look at this. Who should be a DBA? Based off everything I've talked about, who do you think should be a DBA? Now it's simple. If you enjoy troubleshooting or working behind the scenes and keeping critical systems running smoothly, database administration can be a great career path. So if you are a problem solver, if you are detail oriented, if you enjoy working behind the scenes, like in the back end, and if you're interested in system and data, database administration could be a great career path. Now, before we conclude, there has been a common misconception about database administrators. So a common misconception is that database administrators just write SQL queries. I mean, who just write codes. Now, why writing SQL queries is important? The role is really about reliability, like about performance, about security, as well as stability. So it's mainly about making sure databases can support their business. So that is what it's about, and not just opening up SSMS and then just writing a bunch of SQL queries. That's not what it actually is about. That's not all of it. That's just a part of it, but not all of it. So this was a simple overview of what a database administrator does. So in future videos, I will be breaking down real SQL Server DBA tasks. I'll be walking through hands-on examples, and I'll be sharing practical tips from real-world experiences. Now, if you are interested in learning more about SQL Server and database administration, consider subscribing and following along. Thank you and have a good day. Bye bye.